this is Tove Rose with the Happy Theologist podcast. For those of you who are new, welcome. For those of you who are been around for a while, thank you for joining again. You can find out more about the Happy Theologist podcast, about my writing, Bible translation, the books that I've done over at toverose.substack.com. And all my paid subscribers get first dibs on everything, including this podcast. So I am here at the home of my friend, Michael-David. Hi, Michael-David.
I'm excited to be on your podcast there, Tove. It's been an amazing relationship, us meeting each other and having gone way, way back when you first saw me interested in playing harp at some meeting. Where was that?
1995, across the border from Michigan, in Canada where you live.
Yes, indeed.
You were attending a church there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's really something that we go that far back.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the third in a row of different podcasts that we've been recording in your home, which is nice and beautiful, with your cute little dog called Shekel.
Yes, indeed. She seems to not have a problem when the broadcasts are going on, sitting right at my feet. Right? So there you go.
This is really quiet.
Yeah.
So it's been really wonderful getting to know you really well over the last year that you've been living here in the Kansas City area.
Indeed.
And spending time with your family and my family. Mm-hmm. And actually, I know your wife's not here right now, but she has been such a blessing, especially to my youngest daughter.
Indeed.
And like my youngest daughter calls her auntie because that's really their
relationship. Well, there is some genetic connection there with the Rosian swags and my wife being part of that line. So for sure, there's got to be some commonality.
Yeah. From the basic research, it looks like we have some like common great-great-grandparents.
Yes,
or
indeed.
Or
if not all the way back to Abraham.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, so we've been talking about the harp.
Yes.
How it was used prophetically in the Bible, kind of the theology of it. Mm-hmm. I want you to talk a little bit more about the first time you did harp school in Jerusalem.
Yes. Well, I think that the Jerusalem House of Prayer for All Nations, led by Tom and Kate Hess, Tom had a real vision to see the harp restored. I think it was because he saw the scripture in Amos 9 where it says that David's tabernacle would be restored, and in 1 Chronicles 25 it talks about King David commanding the Levites to play their harps and prophesying. And if that's going to be restored, then what is that going to look like? And so that's where I began to do my harp schools at the Jerusalem House of Prayer for All Nations. And ever since then, they've taken the harp as their primary instrument. And so the prayer houses all around the world are getting exposed to it, and I have the distinct privilege of being able to help that process along.
And you teach people how to learn the harp, how to play by ear.
Yes.
In 5 days.
That is true. It's true. I teach people how to play by ear, how to play simple chords. And so if people actually want to learn, they can go to my website. My website is michael-david.com. And if you look, see the heading, 3 ways to play the harp, all the upcoming harp schools are always listed there. Mm-hmm. And so because we're in Kansas City, it's a central location for people to come to. And so they can learn how to play the harp, and in 5 days they'll be worshiping on the harp and using it for prayer. And just like it says in the Bible, David played his harp for Saul, and it relieved him of the evil spirits that were troubling him. Mm-hmm. And we find that the harp is still to this day a powerful way to amplify our prayers and to bring spiritual deliverance to people, and just set an atmosphere where God is able to speak to us. And so that's why I call my schools the School of the Prophetic Harp. As a matter of fact, people can just go to my website, and wherever the next harp school is, like here in August, you can see this. But you can come to michael-david.com/harp school and see when the next upcoming harp school is.
You also do it over Zoom.
That is true. People can, and this is something I only most recently started doing, but people can come to my harp school in the comfort of their own home. They
Yeah.
can sit there, and actually it's a lot of fun because there's a lot of interaction between people who are in Zoom land, I always say.
And you're also a reseller, so you can sell harps.
That's right. If people are needing a harp to get started, I do have a line of harps that are these beautiful smaller harps that are not so expensive and are able to be used within my harp class perfectly. And you can travel with it and put it in overhead luggage compartments and planes, and people all over the world have found that the beauty of the harp by using those beautiful harps. So yes, we can sell them a harp if they need it.
You also do other things, so I
Yes.
just want to mention a few of those other things that we didn't mention in the previous podcast. that we
Yes.
did. So you're also a writer,
Yes, I am a writer.
and also you and your wife also do composing.
Yes.
And you've written movies and plays and musicals.
Yes, we
But
are producers, indeed. Actually, if you go to my website, you can go to michael-david.com and click on ministry. And when you click on that link, you'll see all the film productions, feature-length films that we're involved in, and our ministry, helping people understand the mystery of Israel. And so we've been teaching people about the feasts, and but the harp ministry in particular, just restoring that Davidic use of the harp prophetically and for worship and prayer in prayer houses around the world. So yeah, if you just go to my website, you'll see all those different things that we are involved in. Indeed.
Yeah, I haven't done this publicly, and since this is going out to a minimum of 175,000 people. Thank you for including me in the pageant that you did last fall.
Yes, yes.
It was such a blessing.
Yeah, here
to
in
be part
Kansas
of
City.
a production that you did.
Yeah, we put on a Feast of Tabernacles, a Sukkot celebration, and during that, Tove was called upon to sing the Hebrew prayer at an appropriate moment, and so it was beautiful to have you part of that.
It was wonderful. And some of that was from other productions that you have done.
That's correct. Actually, if they go to my website, they will be able to find the production called Feast of the Ages, and that if you go to our Messianic Marketplace, you'll see that you can go. There are many CDs there, but the Feast of the Ages production, which we recreated part of that here in Kansas City, it was a powerful thing to do that celebration in this community here.
Oh, it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. Okay, so let's get to the meat of what we wanted to talk about here, which is. Wait, what was it?
The restoration of the harp, and my first harp school.
Yes, your harp school. Yes.
And actually, there's a wonderful report that I'd like to play for you that the Acts News Network did, and it really, in a beautiful way, defines how and why the harp is being restored these days. So here's that report.
Towering almost 400 feet above the main gateway into Jerusalem is a string suspension bridge known as David's harp, a striking symbol of a monarch who was a skilled musician and the greatest king ever to rule over Israel. For the past 2,000 years, however, the seraphic sounds of a Davidic harp ensemble have all but vanished after the destruction of the Second Temple. Harp music was central to the 24-hour, 7 days a week temple worship King David initiated, also referred to in Scripture as the Tabernacle of David. Michael-David, a classically trained Canadian musician, launched Israel's first modern school of the harp in the city of Jerusalem. It's an appropriate venture for those who see the reintroduction of harp worship as a necessary component of the times of the final redemption, the days immediately preceding the coming of Messiah.
The harp is being restored as an instrument, as a primary instrument of leading worship. This school marks a shift towards that direction.
From beginners to professionals, Michael-David's 14 harp students have been drawn to Jerusalem from 6 nations to be mentored in a unique style of harp playing. Although music technique is core to Michael-David's curriculum, it takes a backseat to improvisation and being led by the whims and nuances of the spirit. He has modeled his school after the way he believes King David would have played his harp.
His way of playing was very spontaneous, very ad-libbed, straight off, without having any form of music holding him back. So we are recreating that, not just how to play the instrument with skill, but how to worship and how to hear God's voice.
Some correlate the reemergence of harp worship with the fulfillment of prophetic scriptures.
Amos 9 speaks of the restoration of the Tabernacle of David and its primary function, the prophetic harp that was flowing, we see that restoration taking place all over the world. The nations coming in to a relationship with God, and the Jewish people back in the land, never again being plucked out.
For professionally trained concert harpist Elizabeth Lilly, the school was a life-changing experience.
What we're learning to do here is really to play from our hearts and to play what God is giving us in the Spirit. So it's very different from when I go to my jobs and play the music.
It's very accelerated. We've learned to compose music. We've learned to transpose music.
But I just play from my heart to God. It's a different quality. It's eternal quality.
As Michael-David and his students took their newly acquired skills to the streets of Jerusalem after a 2,000-year absence, the celestial sounds of an ensemble of harpists could once again be heard rising from the city of David, the great harpist king of Israel, and that, to many, was a heavenly sound. Marnie Blom, Axe News Network, Jerusalem.
It's really quite amazing when I do my harp schools or tours with my harpists in Israel, and we are on the streets of Jerusalem, and we're playing our harps and we're worshiping the Lord, that the Orthodox people, their eyes bug out literally, and they come up and they put their children forward to get a blessing from the harps, you know. And
why is it so important to the Orthodox?
Well, there is literally a prophecy in the Talmud that tells of the days of Messiah, and how when that happens, that the harps would be played, and that to them is a sign that Messiah is coming. So I actually have a screen here from that portion of the Talmud in Mazorah Arachim in 13b. It talks about how in the days of Messiah there would be special harps that were being played, and to even in the sages' writings, to imply that there is a day when the harps will be played, when Messiah is there. That's why they know that portion, and they go, what, is Messiah coming now?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think they're right.
That's just amazing to me. There's so much messianic expectation.
There is a connection between the restoration of the harp and the coming of Messiah. We see in Amos 9 specifically that the restoration of the Tabernacle of David, where the harps were being played and prophesying was going on, that the timing of that is tied directly to when the children of Israel would be back in the land, never again to be plucked out. And so there is a direct connection between, the modern day Aliyah and the return of the Jews to the land, and the restoration of the Tabernacle of David, and the playing of the harp. And so I think the scriptures do corroborate the fact that is something that God has saved for these end times. It seemed that, on the first dispersion, when they were taken to Babylon, they hung up their harps. They couldn't sing the Lord's song in a foreign land.
Right.
But they are back in the land now. And the harps have not been used over the last 2,000 years within the worship communities of Jewish people. It's strange. You'd think that would be a natural. Wherever they would go, they would bring the harp because David played the harp. But it's only now that it seems that the harp is being restored and that it's making waves in Jerusalem in a major way.
It's just so beautiful. There's so many things that are happening right now, kind of simultaneously with messianic prophecy, that most people are not necessarily seeing.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, is because I really believe that you've got a major part that you've been playing, but kind of an unsung hero kind of part.
Well, it's a beautiful thing to bring the beauty of the harp to the body of Messiah, but especially to bring it to Israel and to play the harps on the street. And some of my students in the Jerusalem House of Prayer there, they are playing the harps in the streets, and they are, their yearly convocation. The last time they had 144 harpists playing harps and just bringing the beauty of the sound, and maybe calling the messianic age into existence, really.
This is beautiful. All right, so we're going to close out this episode. We're about 15 minutes in, and we're going to go a little bit longer on this one because I'd like you to play the Aaronic benediction for us, as written in the Hebrew text.
And so in a previous podcast, we discussed how the markings in the Bible, the cantillation pointing, indicates the actual tones that are being used. And so what I'm about to play for you now is, in fact, those markings and the tones that are marked there. And so there's this beautiful ancient sound. When you hear this, you can tell that there is something special there. And this was rediscovered by Suzanne Haig-Ventura, and she, in her book, the Music of the Bible, where you can actually find that if you go to my website, michael-david.com / lost music. It's actually this is it here, I think, this thing here. Yeah. If they go there, they can find a documentary that I made on this, and there's also the opportunity to get all my background research and some of the original tracks that you can hear. So I offer that to you as we are just closing out here. And of course, a good way to end the show is to be able to sing the Aaronic blessing the way that the musical notes originally intended. Yivarechecha Adonai verishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav eleka vichunecha, Yasa Adonai panav elecha, ve'yesam lecha shalom. The Lord bless and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you his shalom, his peace.
You're watching the Happy Theologist podcast with Tove Rose. Go ahead and sign up at toverose.substack.com. Become a paid subscriber, get first dibs and all the good stuff. Not kidding, all the good stuff. And we'll see you next time.